Yo, what is up, Internet? Once again, it's Blastar, aka Buck Nasty, aka The Cosmic Brass, aka The Janitor, coming to you from way out in the sticks, from the boondocks of YouTube. The subject? Telltales that a game is probably gonna suck. We're accurately judging books by their covers here. So, let's get down to it. We've all become accustomed to watching interviews and video blogs featuring our most high-profile game developers. Looking at these past interviews and then playing the games that they released has led me to believe that there are several speech patterns and several signs that will tell us when a developer knows they're trying to sell us garbage. Tale number 1. When devs talk more about how hard they work than the game itself. Listen, I really don't mean to sound like an asshole, but as a consumer, I'm not interested in how hard you worked on making this game. If I try to sell you a chair, but instead of letting you sit on it, or even letting you see it, I sidetrack the conversation with how much I sweated and how painstakingly hard I worked to build it, chances are you're not gonna buy it. Well, I feel the same way about video games. If you talk about how hard you worked on this game instead of telling me about the game, instead of telling me why I should drop $60 on it, chances are it's because you know you're trying to sell me trash. You don't want to hear about how hard I work for the money in my bank account. I don't want to hear how hard you worked on this product you want me to pay for. Consumer, producer. Plain and simple. Tale number 2. When you can easily tell what's lifted from another game. This one is especially common these days. You ever watch a trailer for a newly announced game only to instantly think of another well-known franchise? If not, go watch the trailer for Shadow of Mordor and see if that doesn't immediately remind you of another high-profile franchise. This move is something I call the Special K. It's when a developer just cuts and pastes someone else's ideas with the hope that they'll find similar success. This is an especially annoying and destructive aspect of not just the gaming industry, but any field where creativity is supposed to be the driving force. To go off topic a bit, look at what Sony Pictures did with The Amazing Spider-Man 2. Look at what Warner Brothers is trying to do with the so-called Man of Steel sequel. They want that Avengers money. So they're rushing and throwing together movies packed with characters so they can then make the big team flick. Back on topic. I've already spoken heavily about perks, but the Special K is what has caused practically every developer to implement some version of that feature. It's also why games within a specific genre all play alike now. What does Call of Duty have? Perks, aim down sight, sprint, military speak, insta-respawn, etc. Okay, let's put that in our game and maybe we'll have a $1 billion launch too. Assassin's Creed is a pretty successful IP. Let's make the same game but with reskinned popular characters. We can't lose. Tale number 3. When the launch is right around the corner and you still know practically nothing about the game. You ever notice when a developer still won't tell you about a game they're selling even when it's launching in a month? My question is simply, why don't you want to talk about this game you've worked on? I mean, you're telling me about the engine and how powerful it is, but you're telling me nothing about the game itself. I'm glad the graphics and AI will be so strong, but what is this game?
Now, what we got here is a little game of show and tell. You don't want to show me nothing, but you're telling me everything.
Tale number 4. When you hear the phrase, "We're not trying to appeal to just one audience." Now what does this say? How should I take that phrase if that person is making, I don't know, an RPG, right? Regardless of the genre, it tells us that they're making an at best mediocre game. There will be no focus to it, no soul. Let's do examples. If you're a Call of Duty fanatic, picking up Crysis is not going to be a big deal for you. It won't take you more than probably about 3 minutes to get going in that game. Ultimately, you'll think, it's just like COD except this little armor ability thing. Now imagine the COD fanatic picking up, say, Team Fortress 2. It'd be hours before they get the hang and start doing some good in a fight. The difference is this: Crysis doesn't have its own soul. And it's not just Crysis. I'm not just beating up on that franchise. A lot of IPs do these, particularly in the FPS genre. But they don't have their own souls. Various audience can play that game without breaking a sweat. Team Fortress 2 has its own voice. Not everybody's going to give that game a chance. Those that do will come to find that it's an incredible game. Valve wasn't interested in making Call of Duty or any other game. They were interested in making Team Fortress 2. Appealing to multiple audiences just says, we're making a flavor of the month game. You'll play for about a month, then drop it for the next big thing. Now, please keep in mind, I'm not slamming Call of Duty or anything like that. I'm slamming the mindset that says every shooter or every game within a genre has to play like Call of Duty or any other super popular game. I think developers should be trying to make their games to dethrone whoever the king is at that point. And you dethrone them by coming with something fresh and something that's generally unique to your game. You're never gonna dethrone a champion by just copying what he's done. Tale number 5. Anyone can play our game. In a nutshell, we're making a game that's so easy a nutless monkey could ravage it. You will play this game, and you will beat it in a day or two. It's stupid easy. It's like we have a bunch of quick time events in there. If anyone can play it, then I'm not interested in it. Why drop 60 on something that won't last longer than a weekend? Here's this game we made, but we made sure it's offensively easy so it doesn't hurt your feelings. Pass. Tale number 6. We're crafting a unique experience. Translation. We're packing this bitch full of set pieces and other things you've already seen in movies. The phrase unique experience is one that is heavily overused today. The word experience gives me the impression that the game will practically play itself. The word cinematic is another red flag. I don't want cinematic in my games. I'm not watching a movie. Have you ever seen Gravity? That's a cinematic masterpiece. But I don't need to see all those brilliant scenes reenacted in a video game because, hey, it was awesome in Gravity, right? You loved all that debris field stuff? Yo, we put it in this game here. That's tight, right? Nah. I'm not watching a movie. I'm playing a game. When I hear immersive and experience and cinematic in the same breath, it becomes obvious that they're selling something that's hollow. I'm beginning to see that a lot of these telltales are really intertwined. I don't want to experience a game. Games back in the day were meant to be played and beaten. These days it seems like they're meant to be experienced. You just go through the motions with little to no mental exercise. Tale number 7. Finally, and my favorite, when they refuse to answer simple questions about their game with a straight answer. when we get the old sale pitch or corporate speak. We aren't talking about that at this time. Now there's a glaring example of this. In fact, this debacle nearly made me stop playing new games altogether. I was about to just call it quits. You know, if I'm playing video games, I'm playing, PlayStation 2, 360, the Dreamcast, Nintendo emulator, whatever. The example I'm talking about is Halo 4. I remember being so hopeful for that game. I remember all the questions fans would pose to 343 Industries, whether it be on NeoGAF or game trailers or just interviewers asking obvious questions. One of the more audible of the bunch: will this game have true skill ranking? Time after time we got a non-answer, accompanied by a reassurance. It feels like Halo. We wanted to make this our game, but it still feels like Halo. A few weeks before the launch, as in like 2 weeks, maybe even less, they finally came clean. There is true skill ranking in Halo 4. They went through great lengths to make sure every stat is being tracked, but then made sure you couldn't see any evidence of this. What? Wow! Usually devs talk about how hard they work. Well, for the first time ever, we get a feature they worked very hard on, but then decided to hide it from us. Imagine that. Let me tell you something. When a developer doesn't want to give a straight answer on something, it's because the answer is no. Think about it. You're making a game that you want people to buy, and they ask you if a much desired feature is in the game. Wouldn't you want to tell them yes? If it's truly in the game, wouldn't you want to be like, yeah, it's in the game. Yo, give me that money, right? You want to buy this, right? This is our objective. We want to make a game that you want to buy. You want this in the game? It's in there, baby. Right? I remember watching an interview with the Bungie guys not too long ago. The interviewer asked them if theater mode was coming back in Destiny. You know what the response was? We can't talk about that right now. But, that was swiftly followed by an underhanded confirmation to the question. You see, they couldn't outright say yes because they're on a marketing schedule. I understand that. We all do. But he put all doubts to rest by wording his next sentence in a way that theater is being put into Destiny. I really appreciate that. I caught that. The interviewer caught it. It was kind of a chuckle through both of them because it's like, I see what you did there. Good look. If their answer would be good news for gamers, they'll answer you every single time. If not, they won't. Well, that escalated real fast. I did not expect to run this long for this vid. So I'm going to end it here. 7 tales, that's more than enough. If you learned something or at least thought about some of the points I made, click the like button. Or don't. No hard feelings. It's only YouTube, right? Until next time.
Fight this with